Hello, Senior Stoner fan. Just the real Senior Stoner back at you for your Heybar Ola Diamond Dab of the Day. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. As always, when you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, send a like, and I reply to all the comments. Let's get started with today's interesting topic. One word, 4 letters. Fear. It's a word that paralyzes people. It locks us. You can be running along and all of a sudden frozen. So how do we unlock the psychology behind fear? How do we understand it so we can overcome it? Maybe we got to think about our biggest goal that we haven't accomplished. Why haven't we accomplished it? Well, if you're like most people, it's pretty basic. Fear. Fear is the limiting factor that stops most people from working towards what they want. It distracts us. Fear leads to excuses, but it doesn't have to. Learning how to overcome fear is one of the most liberating things you can do. It's easy to pretend fear isn't influencing us and to make excuses as to why we haven't achieved things that we're capable of. Instead of turning around and hiding from it, we need to treat fear as a cue, as a motivator to take action. Look at our goal, whatever it is. If we let fear chase us away from achieving it, then we've effectively given in. There are a lot of common fears that stem from one area: limiting beliefs that hold us back. So we're going to talk about the psychology behind how you overcome fear. Learning how to overcome fear and anxiety can be an intimidating thing for a lot of people if you don't understand the mechanisms. So before we berate ourselves for feeling afraid, we got to recognize that fear is normal. It's a normal evolutionary response. It might not feel like it in a moment. Our bodies and brains are communicating with us, but when we learn to read the signals, conquering fear will become second nature. There are several types of fear. Physical fear. When most of us think of fear, we think of physical threats, I think, triggered by an unknown outside event. Loud noise, looking over the edge of a high place, standing in front of a crowd. Physical fear can take its form in phobias also. Almost 12% of adults experience a phobia at some point in their life. Phobias are an extreme fear of a very specific situation, object, or animal. During a physical fear response, people feel their heart beating faster, their breathing gets quicker. You might even feel that pit in your stomach and start feeling dizzy, get sweaty, or feel a dry mouth. Muscles may feel more tense or weak. These are the results of your body's fight or flight response. Without the fear response, we'd leave ourselves wide open to danger. But in the modern world, fear takes other forms, and some of them are not as obvious. We need to learn them. Anxiety. We got to think of anxiety as a long-term fear. It's typically focused on the future rather than the present. Anxiety disorders are on the rise here in America. As much as 20% of the population is affected each year by some type of anxiety disorder. Anxiety and stress can have long-lasting consequences. You see, when you live in a state of stress, your body releases a chemical called cortisol. Too much cortisol can cause problems sleeping, focusing, and it can make you unhealthy and even affect your immune system. For most of us, risks like taking the leap into a new career, a new relationship, or even investing our money can cause generalized anxiety where you have difficulty falling asleep, can't concentrate, and frankly, you replay the scenarios over and over and over in your head. So what's the root cause of these thoughts? Well, there are several types of fear that can be deeply ingrained in our brains. Fear of uncertainty. At our core, all of our thoughts, decisions, and behaviors are driven by our needs. For many of us, certainty is the most important need. We want to know what's coming next. And while we do need uncertainty in our lives and some certainty, we need a variety. A fear of uncertainty prevents us from getting out of our comfort zone. It tells us you might as well stay here where it's safe. And the real reason why people ask and feel stuck is they're unable to achieve their goals. This could be the real reason. Fear of failure is another very common one that stems from the human need for certainty, as well as the need for significance. All of us are wired to avoid pain and gain pleasure. So avoiding failure is surely an easy way in our minds to avoid pain. Well, guess what? We're also wired for growth. And as every successful person knows, failure leads to growth. So we've got to learn to shift our mindset, change it, if you will, so that failure is thought of as a positive, not a negative. I've spoken about it many times. So conquering fear, overcoming fear, simply means harnessing that fear response and using it to our advantage. Learning how to conquer fear begins with finding your center. So how can we do that? Well, you want to identify your fears. Learning how to overcome fear is like any problem-solving challenge. You've got to identify the challenge in order to overcome it. Then you've got to recognize that fear can work to your advantage. Our emotions exist to tell us things. When you feel fear, your soul is telling you something, so you better listen. If you feel overcome by stress or distracted by subtle but persistent anxiety, it's a subconscious fear that needs your attention. Rather than avoiding it, overcoming fear requires leaning in to your anxiety. That's right, view the fear as a piece of information instead of as a threat to our survival. We use anxiety to our advantage in this situation, saying it can't ruin our life. So in overcoming fear, it becomes your ally. It becomes a critical source of guidance, if you will, so you can reach your full potential. That's right. Sit with your fear. There are times for action and there are times for reflection. Often acting too quickly to overcome a fear can lead to behaviors that do more harm than good. So, the next time you feel fearful, do nothing. Sit with your fear a few minutes. Think about it. What's the root cause? Is it fear of uncertainty? Fear of failure? What is the story you tell yourself about why you can't overcome that fear? A moment of reflection can have a great effect on overcoming fear in a way that's productive, deliberate, and effective. Start creating goals that are musts instead of maybes. Dig deeper into your goal. What's the ideal outcome? It'll look a lot rosier. Recognize the excuses. Fear makes you put things off. Fear makes you come up with reasons why you're not going to do something. So the next time, recognize when you're using excuses and figure out how to overcome them. I'm too tired. Adjust your schedule. I don't have enough time. Assess your priorities so you can make time. Surround yourself with success. Proximity is power. Think about it. People who are focused on overcoming fear and achieving their dreams surround themselves with others who have the same mindset. These are the people we don't only look up to, but who will push us to achieve our goals. And adopt the growth mindset. When you're afraid, we tend to stay in one place. What if you make a mistake? What if you fail? So no matter how many mistakes you make or how slow your progress, you're still way ahead of everyone else who's not trying. And find valuable insight in pain. Nobody likes pain. Most of us go to great lengths to avoid it. But as I've spoken many times, pain is an excellent teacher. If you accept that your life and your efforts to achieve goals will be painful at times, the painful experiences become opportunities for growth. When we let go of pain as a threat to our survival, its power is lost and it becomes a tool that we have to overcome. Everybody experiences hardships in life. Doesn't matter whether your setbacks are personal or professional. What matters is the lessons that we take from the setbacks. And we have to visualize our goals. Think about it. Identifying the real reasons we're holding ourselves back and determining the must-haves in our lives. Overcoming those fears require that we practice certain habits daily so they're going to lead to true action. Goal visualization will set our focus, and where focus goes, so does energy. Ultimately, you've got to accept that you're going to fail. It's the number one fear that people have when it comes to accomplishing their goals. They're going to fail. So what? Like pain, failure can teach us. In fact, failure's a better teacher in a lot of situations than success. So if we accept from the onset that failure is an inevitable part of success, we'll be less afraid of it. Failure can provide us with learning experiences. Everyone fails. Successful business owners, world leaders, prominent chefs, artists, scientists, and doctors. Our society shies away from talking about failure, though. Instead, it celebrates successes. It creates a false impression, doesn't it? That to be truly successful, you got to never fail. But part of overcoming fear is recognizing that everybody on this planet, including those we look up to and admire, have encountered failure on their path to greatness. The quicker we realize that our fear of failure is preventing us from making great decisions to accomplish our dreams, the sooner we'll be able to accept the possibility of failing and move on. How we respond to fear is what sets us apart from everybody else in the crowd. Break through our own barrier that we set, and we will have a better life for it. Now let's have our diamond dab of the day with one of the hardest hitting devices I have. Welcome to the Heybar Ola. A little diamond in there for enough hit. This is a marvelous cotton ball building machine. Let's turn it on. Here we go. You can hear the pump pumping. And the cotton balls shall rise. Cotton balls of vapor. I won't even be able to take this hit, unfortunately. It's much too much for me. But I love demonstrating how it works. I have to say, it's one of the cooler devices out there. Cheers, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining the Real Senior Stoner for his Ola Heybar Diamond Dab of the Day. Wow. Like I said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, send a like, and I respond to all the comments. This has been the Real Senior Stoner, and oh yes, the Heybar Ola. Cheers. Have a wonderful day, and take some breaths when you take a big hit like that. Cheers, everybody.